Hello everyone, this is Siddiqur Rahman and welcome the very first lecture of digital electronics. So let's begin. By the end of this lecture, you guys will be able to describe analog signals as well as analog circuits. So now we need to move into the next slide. From this slide, we are getting an overview of this lecture, and from this lecture you can see there are lots of things we need to learn, such as signal and classification, analog signal and example, analog signals graphical representation, and so on. So don't waste our time, let's dig into it. So we need to move into the next slide. From this slide, we would like to know what does the word digital mean? Well, in the modern world of electronics, the term digital is generally associated with a computer because the term digital is derived from the way computers perform operation by counting digits. For many years, the application of digital electronics was only in the computer system, but nowadays digital electronics is used in many other applications. From this slide, we came to know some applications, or you can say there are several examples in which digital electronics is heavily used, such as industrial process control, military system, television, communication system, medical equipment, radar, navigation, etc. So we need to move into the next slide. Well, from this slide we came to know what is signal as well as the classifications of signal. So let's begin. Signal can be defined as a physical quantity which contains some information. It is a function of one or more than one independent variables. Now come to the classification. Signals are classified into two types, such as analog signal and digital signal. Now we need to move into the next slide. From this slide, we came to know what is analog signal as well as the example of this signal. So let's begin. An analog signal is defined as the signal having continuous values. Analog signal can have infinite number of different values. In real world scenario, most of the things observed in nature are analog. There are several examples of analog signal, such as temperature, pressure, distance, sound, voltage, current, and power. Let's move into the next slide. From this slide, we came to know how an analog signal looks alike, or you can say the graphical representation of analog signal. If you guys have a close look on this figure, then you may notice there is a two-axis system. One is x-axis and another one is y-axis. In x-axis there is a parameter or there is a term named time, and in y-axis there is a parameter or term temperature. And you may notice another thing, in x-axis and y-axis there is no specific value indication. So if we increase the value of time, then there will definitely an increase in temperature as well because of the continuation. And from previous slide we came to know temperature is a example, or temperature is an example of the analog signal. That's it from this slide. So now we need to move into the next slide. Well, from this slide we came to know what is analog circuits and the examples of analog circuit. The circuits that process the analog signals are called analog circuits. Sometimes it is known also as analog systems. Now come to the examples of analog signals or analog systems. There are several examples of the analog systems such as filter, amplifiers, television, receiver, and motor speed controller. Now we need to move into the next slide. From this slide we came to know some of the disadvantages of analog systems or analog circuits, such as less accuracy, less versatility, more noise effect, more distortion, more effect of weather. Let's move into the next slide. From this slide we came to know what we will get to know in the next lecture, and you will see we'll get to know about digital signal and digital circuits. We already known from this lecture about the analog signal as well as analog circuits. Now we need to move into the next slide. So that's all for first lecture. Thanks for your attention. See you guys in the next lecture. Thank you.